Swiss Army Man. A movie about a man and the Swiss. Just kidding.
A magic boner, a dead body, and it's not just your uncle's wedding.
Hi, I'm Devan.
And I'm Dylan.
And I'm gonna tell you a story.
What story is it?
The whole story.
The whole story.
It starts off and it's a man and he's like humming a song and you see him and he's like tied himself with like a noose, but he's looking across this beach. He sees this like body that has just washed up on shore. He's like, what? But loses his balance and then he's like hanging there, like floppy. He's like, luckily the rope just snaps and he falls down. He's like, hey! And starts running towards this body, which is Daniel Radcliffe. And he gets over there and he's like, hey buddy, are you alive? And like he puts his ear on him and starts hearing like gurgling and he's like, oh, like maybe he's alive. He like follows the noise down his body because it's like moving from like torso down, so he's just like, oh, oh, oh. And then it just like fart. Daniel Radcliffe's dead body continues to fart, and its body is like vibrating and like skipping and flopping in the water. And he goes to the body because it's like now in the water, like moving from farts. He like finds the other part of the noose that first broke off in the water. He grabs it, ties that rope around him, and then jumps on him and starts riding his farts out into the sea. Just starts motoring away like really hard, just like and he's just like, yeah!
Sounds majestic as fuck.
Yes, and so he's like in the wind enjoying it, but then oops, he like loses his balance and he's like, ah! That guy wakes up on like the sand. It's a different beach. He takes him into like this cave that he's found. It's nighttime and it's raining, and he's set up like a cup and like a thing so that water can like
leaves and stuff or something.
It's like trash. And then he like lays down to go to sleep, wakes up and sees like a raccoon trying to like get into the dead body's like mouth, and he's just like, I'm gonna eat you, and like throws off that body, kicks his water in the process, and the raccoon gets away. And he's like, no, my water, I'm dying of thirst and hunger. I've been on a like secluded island and now another one. So he goes back into his cave all upset, and then he sees the dead bodies, like he's all like tipped over and there's like water pouring out of his mouth. And he's like, water! It stops and he's like, no, keep going. And he like pushes on it and it like goes like, so he's like, Manny? Your name's Manny? Hi, I'm Hank. And he like grabs his tongue out of his mouth and like puts down his jaw and presses on it. He's like, and he's just like, very good! You gotta talk to me, buddy. Nobody's gonna understand if you keep mumbling like this. And then all of a sudden, Daniel Radcliffe is just like, that's okay, buddy. Hank freaks out, screams, punches him in the face. He's like, ah! And runs away. Did you just talk? You know, he's like away. Just like, am I dead? No, you're maybe alive, or I'm, you know, going crazy from starvation.
Either or, really.
Daniel Radcliffe's just like, what's alive?
Little deep.
Yeah. So alive is like, you know, you got your brain in here and your eyes blink and like your taste here, and like a lot of people have like certain cool things that they do, and he's just like slapping his hands and like doing bumps and like showing peace signs and fuck you and shaka. And if you don't know Jurassic Park, you don't know shit. And he like grabs some trash and he's like making little things, like he's making like buildings and people and stuff to like show him how like things in society that alive people do. Like, all right, we gotta get out of here, Manny. Like, we gotta go find home. Home is where you belong. And you're coming with me because you're some type of multi-tool guy. And he decides to like throw him on his back. And he's just like, all right, Manny, we're going home. Our journey begins now. Manny's still farting a lot. He finds like a Sports Illustrated or whatever, like a nudie mag. Ew. He also found a cork. So he gets the cork and
gotcha.
so corks him so he won't be farting anymore. Manny is like kind of just thrown this way, but looking at like the magazine, he's just like, what's this? And he's just like, it's a magazine. And he's just like, what is this supposed to do? He's just like, I don't know, just like imagine them without their bra and underbra. And he's just like, well, what's under their clothes? And he's just like, you know, like boobs, butts, and vaginas. And Manny's just like, boobs, butts, and vaginas. Hank, my boobs feel weird. His dick is moving in his hands, and it's like going places. And Hank realizes it, looks down, and he's like, and like bumps him, and Manny's like this, but seeing it, he's just like, and it's just like moving everywhere, and then like goes straight. And he's just like, let's take this magazine away from you. Takes the magazine away, and it goes down. And he gets an idea, puts it back, and it's just like, so he like gets down and like moves his hand, starts like running that direction and sees a path. And he's just like, Manny, I think your dick is a compass. Oh my god. So then he continues to carry him on his back. His dick is pointing the direction that they need to go.
Oh my god.
After a while, Manny's just like, it's not like really working anymore. And Hank has to say, well, yeah, sometimes when you look at one thing too many times, it just doesn't have the same effect. They continuing on, he sees like a really big poop on the ground, but then he hears like a growl. He's just like, why are you so sweaty and why are your eyes so big? Manny, this is what fear looks like. And everybody poops, you taught me that. Yes, everybody poops, but there's some things that make big poops like that will eat us, and then we will become their poop. It's a bear! Manny, run! And throws Daniel Radcliffe like, boom! He's attached to him, so then hit a tree, boom! Fall off like a very small cliff, you know, and they're like, ugh! They're away from the beast. Hank's phone fell out because he's had a phone this whole time, and his phone like turned on from all of that commotion. And it's right next to Manny, who's like down over here. Hank, what is this? And Hank's just like, that's a phone. He's like, a phone is beautiful. That's a picture of a girl on a phone. I need to turn it off so we can have power when we get to people to ask for help. And he's just like, I have a lot of questions about everything you just said. But what if that's my phone? What if that's my girlfriend? But maybe I know her, and then maybe it'll all come back to me, and I'll know who I am and where I come from, and the hairs on my neck will stand up, and my heart will start pumping, and I'll be alive again. But we'll never know because you won't help me to help you. You're starting to talk a lot better. Thank you. Well, we can't turn off the phone, so I have an idea. And there's like trash everywhere.
It's a garbage forest.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a garbage. And so like he finds some like fabric from this old like couch, twigs and whatever, and like berries, and like starts dyeing them like red. Comes out and he's made like a red wig and like a dress and like a shirt and a skirt, and comes out. So, because,
am I free?
Yeah, so like Manny's propped up against a log, like looking at him, and he like comes around the corner, just like, this is stupid, and Manny's just like, you're beautiful. Oh my god. And he's like, no. Really? You're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I can't do this. I can't do this. You don't remember anything. You just want me to just like this girl. Maybe if we make this more real, you'll understand. So he starts building things out of like sticks and leaves and like trash, and he like makes a bus. I guess this girl in the picture, he knows her because he used to ride the bus with her in everyday life. And he's like recreating the scene for Manny so his magic penis can lead them home.
Of course.
Sits him up in the bus. So this is the bus, and she's gonna come in, and he's like, well, what do I say? What do I say to her? And he's just like, just keep it cool, keep it natural, just talk to her, just a conversation. So he puts on his outfit and sits down across the bus and she ties him up to like these strings to like have him walk over. Sits down and he gets like super excited. Your name is Sarah Johnson. Manny, you remember? I'm happy now. And he's like, Manny, you're hurting my hand, because he's like gripping really tight. It snaps, it sparks fly up, and he's just like,
you can start fires.
Pile of trash. They found like popcorn bags. They're like eating popcorn together, and Manny like goes like, and he's got like popcorn stuck in his throat. Hank like gives him the hind leg maneuver, and it shoots really fast out of his throat. So he like starts putting rocks in his throat and then like hitting him really hard, and it shoots and hits a raccoon and like explodes its head off, and then he's like, I can eat now. So it's like scenes of them like with fire and food, and they're having a good time. So they're getting far into the forest, woo, we can eat, we can get places, and it's awesome. But anyway, he dresses up periodically as the girl, you know, so direction, and then they'll stumble upon a like half bottle of vodka. Manny, let's throw a party. Let's invite everybody we know. Yeah, he's made more stick people, and he's just like, Hank is dressed as the girl. Okay, yeah.
This is still happening.
This is still happening. It shows like Manny propped up on the club that they were in, but there's like a door or whatever. And Hank comes through and sees Manny sitting down, and he's like, opens the door, he's like, oh hey, ow, I'm a little bit drunk. Manny kind of like falls over, Hank kind of like leans over, a stick falls down, they're like, I'm drunk. So they wake up in the morning and they continue on to their journey, and they come across this, it's like a river, but there's pipes going across this river, but like way high up, and the river's way down there, and they're like, okay, we need to cross this. So Hank's got Manny on his back, tied up to him, you know, and he's like trying to cross this thing. Manny's on his back and he's like, Hank, I have a feeling, I don't know what it is. I feel like even though right now I'm like on you and we're touching physically, I feel like there's something between us, and like, you know, I'm not talking about it, you're not talking about it. Well, that's weird, I don't know what you're talking about. Manny, enough feelings right now. And then he like slips, and they like fall, and they get like caught on a thing. I just, you know, I don't want to die again because I think I might miss you. And like Hank's just like, I hate you. And then like they fall down. Whoa. And they go like into the water, and they're like sinking. Hank goes and is like feeling weird and like getting flashes of all of their like time together, and he like goes and swims and grabs him, and it's just like and like kisses him, right? But then he like stops kissing Manny and looks, and Manny's just like and there's like bubbles floating out of his mouth, but he's super stoked because Hank kissed him. Manny's acting as an oxygen tank, so he like kisses him again, and now they're able to breathe underwater. Alright, we need to get out of the bottom of this river. Uncorks him, and they shoot out of the water, slow motion dolphin style. They're having a good time. They made it to shore. They're safe. So they get out of the water and they like continue into the forest, and Hank's making like a fire. Hank's just like, I gotta pee. And he sees a car go by, like grabs his phone, turns it on, boom, there's a signal, and he's just like, oh my god. But then he starts like going through like Instagram, because
oh my
like,
god, are you fucking... Not the time!
Not the time, but it's like that girl that's on his phone.
Priorities.
Still not the time, but he's like looking through her Instagram, and she's like married and has kids. Manny, you know, I gotta tell you something. And Manny's like, hey, I gotta tell you something too. He's trying to explain that Sarah belongs to somebody else and has kids and whatever. But before he's able to finish, he hears like a growl and looks over and he's just like, oh! And Manny's just like, that's what I was trying to tell you. There's a really big raccoon eating our food. It's a bear. And he's just like, ah! And grabs like some rocks and like throws them in his mouth. But when he goes onto the ground, the phone's on the ground, and Manny sees the girl with her husband. And he like hits him, and he's just like, who's that guy with Sarah? And he's just like, that's her husband, that's what I was trying to tell you. And she's like, you lied to me. And this bear is right here, like, rah, like trying to attack them.
Right.
And Hank tries to like lean Manny over and like do that like fart snap thing to like make fire to bear. Misses, and Manny kind of like stands up a little bit. So instead of hitting the bear, it shoots to the ground and like shoots them up into the sky. And so they're on a tree. And he's just like, I don't know why you told me about this. He's like, I don't know why you kept this from me. And like Manny is having memories, and it's making Hank see them, so it's like, like he keeps like, what are you doing? Yeah, like mind linking.
Weird.
He's making the memories that they have shared together and like making them bad. He's just like sad and depressed because he's dead but alive, but also now the one person that he thought he was coming home to is alive, and it's hurting Hank to see these memories in his own head, and so it's making him like fall off of this tree. His memories are like literally hurting him. When he finally like lets go of the tree, falls on the ground, and the bear goes after him. I guess I'm gonna die now. Manny starts like going like, and his fingers start to move, and then he starts like vibrating and like and falls down the tree. So the bear lets go of Hank and starts like walking over, and Manny is like actually like moving his limbs, like weird but moving, and like gets up on this tree, pulls himself up, and Manny like takes a step and it just like immediately falls down. And he's like crawling to the fire, makes it to the fire, lays on the fire, catches on fire, and then like to the bear, and the bear runs away. So Hank comes over and like pats him out, and he's just like, you saved me. Hank passes out. So next morning, they continue out of the forest because they're like right there. But this time, Hank is on Manny's back and Manny is walking through the forest. He's like, we're making it. Just got out of the forest and they're like now in a backyard. And like, we made it. And Hank like looks and he's just like, no, we gotta get out of here, because he realizes what house it is. Manny took him to the house of Sarah because of his magical penis.
His boner led the way.
Yes. So they're in there and he's just like, no, Manny, we gotta get out of here. Like they fall down because he's like, no. A little girl comes out while they're like fighting, like tumbling around each other, like, no, yes, you know, argument. And this little girl comes out and she's like, hi. And they're just like, hi. Manny starts talking. He's like, this is Hank. He's my best friend, and I'm Manny, and I used to be dead. And he's just like, I have special powers. And he's just like, look. And like throws up water, and she's like, And he's like, no, for real. And he's like, And then his boner like goes, and then Hank's just like, Hank hits it really quick. He's like, Manny, no! And that little girl starts crying. And she's like on the ground, like, ah! Mom comes down and she's like, what's going on? Are you okay? And, it's like, what's going on here? Who are you? And the little girls said, like, that's Manny. He used to be dead and lost in the forest. And she's just like, okay, stay right there. And she goes and, like, calls the cops and brings him some water. Hank, like, takes the water, but he's like, Manny, because Manny won't talk anymore. He's just, like, not talking. He's not blinking. He's not making any movements. He's just like, don't leave me, Manny. Don't leave me. You can't leave me right now. And then, like, she pulls him away from, like, the body, and, like, the cops and news people come. They're, like, taking Manny and, like, zipping him up or whatever in, like, a body bag. Reporter, and she's just like, Manny, we gotta talk to you about blah, blah, blah. Because they thought that he was Manny and Hank was the dead guy because they found Hank's phone on Manny. So they're like, oh, it's Hank. So they called Hank's dad from the phone to, like, identify the body and everything like that. Hank's dad notices that Hank is actually alive, standing in front of news people.
Yeah.
Hank, what are you doing? And he's just like, my name's not Manny, it's Hank. My friend saved me with his superpowers, and I'm not gonna let you guys take him away and put him in an unmarked grave. Runs, grabs the body bag. Everybody's just like, what? So the news people, like, go running after him, and so do the police, and his dad, and Sarah's, like, little girl ran in there too. So they're like, no! Okay. Now, this story that I just told you was, like, what? Like, at least a week through the forest, I would say. Yeah. At least a week. Okay. They're back at the ocean where they started. Same exact place. Took them, what, maybe 4 hours or something. Like, they got there in record time. Yeah. Hank's on the beach with Manny. He's just like, just, come on, man. Like, come back. Why don't leave me like this? They might not, you know, understand you, and they might not accept you, but I accept you. We're gonna stay here together, and we're okay. And then, like, all of those people are right there just watching him talk to this dead body, like, and the police is like, all right, buddy, and, like, handcuffs him or whatever, right? He's just like, we just gotta show him. And he's just like, and then farts. Everybody is just like, oh, and he's just like, it was me. I did it. And they're like, come on, and, like, grabbing him, taking him away from Manny. And then you hear, like, a real deep toot, and the cop is just like, that's enough. And he's just like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And Manny is farting and starting to, like, like, wiggle again. So Hank, like, gets away from the cop and runs over and, like, whispers in his ear something. Probably fucking, like, be free. You know, or something. Because he starts, like, gyrating a whole bunch and back into the water, flopping around, and like a jet ski, boom, goes off into the water. Hank looks at his dad. His dad gives him a nod. They watch Manny blast off into the ocean, into the sunset, and then it says the end. The end.